Hey guys, I am here to give you an overview of the Gene Keys. I've been actually wanting to do this for a while and a few months at least. And I feel like when you go to the original Gene Keys website, you're kind of like, how do I start? So having someone walk you through it is really helpful. At least that was my experience. And so I wanted to do that for you guys. If you have already embarked upon your journey with the Gene Keys, which many of you already have, then awesome. And maybe this will give you more insight into the Golden Path program, or maybe it'll help you explain it to someone else, to your family or friends, to have them dive into this work. But if you have not started with the Gene Keys, this is going to be really helpful for you. And the first thing is, what are the Gene Keys? The Gene Keys is a body of work. It's not just a book, but it's an actual full transmission that downloaded into a guy named Richard Rudd. And he received this transmission over the course of 7 years. This transmission is absolutely beautiful. It is rooted in the I Ching, astrology, and more. And it does take you beyond what human design offers. It's different than what human design offers. I love human design. I think it's amazing to understand what our different types are. But the Gene Keys work is deeper work where you go into your DNA and start beginning to unlock the gifts and the light that has been dormant for a long time, lifetimes, centuries, many generations. And our generation has been called on to unlock these gifts. But in order to do so, we have to traverse our own shadows, and the shadows that were imprinted into us based on our soul's agreements. And it's a really beautiful journey. It's the closest thing that Michael and I have ever experienced to the medicine, to ayahuasca, except you don't have to drink medicine. You don't drink medicine in order to receive this transmission, yet it's very similar. So when you are in a plant medicine ceremony, if you've done this before, if you sat before, you probably remember most likely going through like vortexes and spirals. If you saw a little spiral imagery, kind of like this, that's DNA. And what you're doing is you're traversing through your DNA to actually unlock what's inside of you already, rather than, going up there, out there to get something that you don't already possess. It's more so about going down and in and traversing the gunk that's keeping you from the beautiful light within our DNA. So hopefully that made sense. And if it didn't, it doesn't matter, because really when you start working with the Gene Keys, things will just start happening. Things will start showing up in your life, in your relationships, in your businesses. It will just start unfolding for you very naturally, which is one of my favorite things about the Gene Keys. It's a true transmission that begins to work on your cells just through reading your profile and reading the spheres of what each what your profile means. So let's make this really simple for you. To start your Gene Keys path, which actually I'll say one more thing. The path of the Gene Keys for me is very similar to my relationship with the medicine, and that it's something that continues to expand, evolve, and deepen. And it's not something that you just do one time and say, oh, like take what you need and then peace out. It's more so something that you'll work with most likely over the course of at least a couple of years. For Michael and I, it's something that we'll probably be working with the rest of our life. And we started in 2018, and it continues to change. Every time I read a sphere that's in my profile, I take something away that's very different, and it means something different for me. But then I also love to explore the Gene Keys, the different types of, or the different spheres that aren't in my profile. And that's really fun too, especially when they're ones that are in your partner's profile or in your friend's profile or in your employee's profile. It's really nice to kind of get to know and access what the souls around you are working on and growing through. Okay, so back to how to get started, and then we'll go deeper into how to read your profile. So you need two things to start your journey with the Gene Keys. Number one, this book. You can get it off of Amazon. It is the main book, this big, thick blue thing. It's awesome. It's like my Bible. And let me share my screen. You will need a free profile. So you go to thegenekeys.com, click on free profile, and then enter in this information. Your birth time does need to be pretty close, and then it'll shoot out your profile, and I am going to walk you through how to read that today. So here's my hologenetic profile is what it's called. By the way, I am not a teacher of the Gene Keys, and there's a lot of language that I don't fully understand or fully know how to express, but I just want to give you a very basic overview to get you started, and then you'll receive what you need to. Okay, so here is the profile. You'll notice that there are green spheres, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go through that first. So this sphere is your life's work. It really is something that's going to show up for you in any and all area of your life. It really is kind of like this essence of you and of your soul. And so what you're going to see here is 12.3 means that 12 is the gene key number it is, meaning you would go to your book and turn to the 12th gene key. And then I would find my life's work. I'm just going to go to it right now. Okay, so what you see here is in red is the shadow of vanity. And inside every shadow contains a gift. So in green, you see the gift, which is discrimination. And then with every gift, you have the purest essence of that gift, which is also called the Siddhi. If you look right here, it tells you the Siddhi, the essence, Siddhi, is purity. Now, when you see a profile or you see anyone's profile, you might think you know what a word means, but for the Gene Keys, it probably means something totally different than what you're expecting. So you cannot know what these words mean or imply until you pick up your book and you read it, because typically it has nothing to do with what you're expecting, like I said. So what you do is like what I'm suggesting that you do to get started is to start here on your life's work, go to your gene key number and read it. That's it. Now you'll see this 0.3. That's referring to your line, which is line 3 changer for myself. I don't want you to worry about that when you're just now getting started, and I'll come back to that when I talk about the Golden Path program. But your first step for the Gene Keys, in my opinion, is to just read every single one of your spheres first and not worry about the lines. Just look at the actual gene key itself, okay? Then you're gonna travel down with, like the arrow points you to, your evolution. This is gonna be your greatest challenge in life. So 11, you're gonna go to gene key 11, open it up, read the shadow, the gift, and the Siddhi. And you can go in any pace that you want to, because it's not about reading all of them as fast as possible. What I did and what Michael did was we started reading our spheres really organically, meaning we kind of got the nudge to go to our next sphere. Sometimes that was a few days later, sometimes it was weeks later. It's going to be up to you, because integration is going to happen in your life. It's kind of like when I say life is a ceremony. It's the same thing with the Gene Keys. You're going to read the transmission, you're going to receive it into your cells, and then it's going to start integrating and showing up for you in your life. And you can take that as quickly or as slowly as your soul guides you to. So when you go to your evolution, you're going to read that and receive it, integrate it. Then you go to the next green sphere, which is your radiance. This is really your access to your vibrancy. This is going to determine, your physical and emotional health. really important spheres. So again, go to, like for me, I would go to Gene Key number 36, and I would read what turbulence, humanity, and compassion means. And then I would start to feel into that, applying to my life. Okay, so from your radiance, which is really all about your health, and if you are in the shadow of your radiance, you are most likely going to find yourself not feeling so great. This is when people get stuck into the shadow of their radiance, they typically do get sick over a long period of time. So this is an important one. Then you travel down to your last green sphere. Well, I guess it's half green, which is your purpose. And this is called really the hidden gift. You know, your life's work is really important, but this purpose is something that's so deep within you that's going to kind of blossom very naturally and organically and show up in all areas of your life. And it's something that it's like a gift you're offering to the world through your work with it. So you read that, okay? And then let's consider your activation sequence. Those 4 spheres are you activating your genius. So you could just read those 4 spheres and then kind of pause and let that genius start activating in your life and see where it shows up for you. Because this hologenetic profile is really worked into 3 parts, 3 sequences. So after your activation sequence, which is really the activation of your genius, your specific, unique genius, you're going to go to the Venus sequence, which, if you didn't know it already, is all about the heart. So after you activate your genius, it's really important that you start peeling the layers off of your heart, because to bring your genius into the world, you want to do so through an open heart, right? And so the Venus sequence is going to give you access to that. And it is such profound work. And again, we're not talking about the golden path yet. We're just talking about reading the spheres. Okay, so you go to your attraction. This attraction sphere is all about who you're going to attract into your life. It kind of defines the karmic relationships you're going to attract in and out of your life. And sometimes this can be applied romantically, of course. So you're going to read that sphere to understand your attraction and see how that applies to your relationships, because all of the red spheres are really about relationship. Then you go to your IQ. Now, I'm going to let you know that this is going to walk you back through your childhood, and it's going to do it in reverse order. So for your first one, the IQ, it is what was embedded into your mental body at the for the ages of 14 to 21. And 14 to 21, that's when your mental body was getting developed. And so it's nice to be able to read what really imprinted in terms of your mental body. And I think that'll resonate with a lot of people. Then you go to the next sphere, which is your emotional quotient, your EQ. So this is your emotional body. And this is going to be the years of 7 to 14. And when you read this sphere, you can kind of imagine, and you'll start having memories of that time, maybe ones you didn't even remember before. You can start taking notes and journaling your feelings around that time. Start looking at your relationship with your parents during that time, how it affected you. And then not just how it affected you, but how is that effect influencing your current relationships. That's what's the most important. And that's why we go backwards and do this work, so that we can unlock the truth of the love inside of our hearts from an innocence place. So the emotional quotient, really good. And then you go to your spiritual quotient, which was what was imprinted in you between the ages of 0 and 7. So those really early years. And then lastly, you'll go to your vocation. And this is your core wound. Your core wound is really impersonal, and that your soul signed up to receive this wound on behalf of the collective. Basically, you dropped into your mom's womb with this wound inside of you. And it's something that you came here to heal, and to heal through your being and through your creations, through your offerings. This is your soul's one of your soul's missions, to heal this wound on behalf of the all. So it's a really big one, and it definitely it's a part of the Venus sequence. So the Venus sequence starts with your purpose, goes up through here, it's the longest sequence, and it ends with your vocation. But when you're in the Venus sequence, this sphere is actually half red, and it's called your core wound. Okay? And now, lastly, you get into your third sequence, which is the Pearl sequence, your access to prosperity. But it's not about access to just money. It's really about how are you going to bring your genius through your heart space and into the world. So it's actually about service. And service really is related to abundance, which Richard Rudd talks about a lot in his other books. So I'll get to that in a minute. But then you're going to just read these spheres. You're going to go vocation. Your vocation is basically this core wound. It's all going to talk about how this is going to show up in your work and in what you're offering the world. And then when you go to your culture is, again, it's about your expression in the world, but it's specifically about how you relate to society. This is going to define you attracting in your fractal lines, or what I would say your soul family, the ones that are going to be supporting you in your work, in your mission, the ones that are going to partner with you and collaborate with you and really see you deeply for the work that you're here to do. And your culture and your expression of your culture is really related to the way that you attract in that support network. And then when you go to the Pearl, your final part of the, actually, it's not the final part, but some people would say that it kind of is. So the Pearl is basically your access to prosperity in a nutshell. So this is going to definitely impact the flow of resources coming in and out of your life. And then last part of the Pearl sequence, you go up to your life's work again, which becomes your brand. And you guys know what a brand is. You know, again, it's the essence of your soul. It's how you express yourself. It's how you show up in the world. It's your unique brand. That's your Pearl sequence. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully I broke it down in a simple enough way. Once you have read all of your spheres with this one book and your one profile, you will integrate that all in. And when you are ready to go deeper, that is when you will embark on what is called the golden path. So actually, let me share this again one more time. And when you get your free profile, Richard Rudd does say the Golden Path program is a step-by-step guide. It really is. It's a step-by-step guide. For Michael and I, it took almost maybe a year to complete. The biggest thing you need to know about this is to not get overwhelmed by all the complexity of it. It really is not complex. It looks complex in the beginning, but if you follow what I'm telling you to do, it won't be. So you're going to read all your spheres. Then you're going to go back to the website when your soul guides you to, and you're going to start the Golden Path program. Now, there are 3 sequences to the Golden Path program. The activation sequence, which is discovering your genius. The Venus sequence, which is peeling back the layers of your heart, opening your heart, keeping your heart open at all times. And then 3, the Pearl sequence, bringing your genius into the world, accessing your prosperity. The Golden Path program is sold in 3 parts, and I believe they're $69 each. Really inexpensive for everything that you get. So what you're going to do is you're going to purchase your activation sequence. And what you get with the activation sequence is you get a PDF book that you can read digitally on your computer or phone. You're going to get a page-by-page guide where Richard Rudd gives you a video describing what the sphere means in general, another video describing what the sphere means for you, and specifically around that video is where he talks about the lines. So you might be a line 1 through 6, and he's going to tell you what that means in terms of how you view your sphere. And that just gives you this like deeper access and understanding of yourself. It's so beautiful how it all unfolds. and all you have to do is focus on one thing at a time. Richard Rudd has made it extremely easy for you to basically just click next sphere, next sphere, next sphere. It's so simple online, okay? And in terms of when you finish the activation sequence, you don't have to move straight on to the Venus sequence. Again, you can let it sit and let it unfold. And remember that this can be shadow work, and it can feel scary at times. Not scary, but you know what I mean. It can feel like it shakes things up in a way, especially when you get to the Venus sequence with your relationships. And it's amazing how it works on you. It's intense, it's deep, and it will change you for the better. So it's so highly recommended. I won't speak at all about the lines here because you'll learn about that in the actual program itself. And let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, there's one big thing I didn't mention. What Richard Rudd talks about is not meditation, but contemplation. He talks about how contemplation of your gene keys, of your profile, and of these concepts is actually what is going to unlock these gifts of over time. And you'll learn more about contemplation in the Golden Path program. He has some really helpful videos. And just remember, like, I think we're in a society where that like instant gratification, you go into a program, you're like, okay, it's gonna be 6 weeks. What do I have to do? Tell me the details and then I'll complete it. Like, we always want to complete something. With the gene keys, it's totally different. You want to just go slowly, let yourself discover it over time. You should not have a goal of when to finish by. You should just really embrace the flowy side of yourself in this sense, in terms of timeline. You don't need to understand the Venus sequence when you're doing the activation sequence. You don't need to mentally get it. Just go one page at a time, and I promise it'll make sense and it'll work for you. And yeah, I took a lot of notes during my Golden Path program, and I like even in the book itself. So on my 12th gene key, another thing you get with the Golden Path program, you would think that I was like making commissions off this because I recommend it so much, but I literally, I just think it's such a huge resource, like life-changing resource for such a low cost investment. It's really a time investment. When you get your Golden Path program, in addition to the videos that you get and the PDF, you also will get an audio of Richard Rudd contemplating your specific gene key. Now, it's his contemplation of it, so it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be yours, but it's nice to hear, and you'll learn, because he's a very poetic type of guy. And what I do is I like to take notes about my lines and about those audio contemplations that he does, which are really helpful. Okay, last thing I'm going to tell you, when you get the Golden Path program, I did mention that you're going to get a PDF document for the activation sequence, PDF for the Venus sequence, and a PDF for the Pearl sequence. Now, the PDF comes with the purchase of the program. Alternatively, you can purchase this little thin book for each one. That's up to you. If you want to add the extra investment and have a book, like I got the activation sequence, and then for Venus and Pearl, I was like, just use the PDF that comes with the program. But actually, I'll probably go back and purchase them because I like to read with a book more than I like to read on a computer. And the Pearl sequence, when I read the Pearl sequence, I mean, it's one of my favorite books in the entire world. It's literally like when I launched my book, How to Lead a Badass Business from Your Heart, I feel like it should come with a Pearl sequence. And just like it should be delivered in a bundle, because the whole paradigm that he speaks about with conscious business, it's like so next level and so forward thinking and really, really important stuff. So anyway, hope that all helped. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. And please, if you have any more questions, things I did not address, just let me know. And happy journeying with the gene keys. If you haven't done it yet and you're inspired to do it in 2020, it is it would be a beautiful way to start 2020 with this program. And last thing is that we have our Heart Start 2020 program, the 4-week program. Michael and I and 3 other of our friends are going to be offering this program to all Kapu members. It's 4 weeks, and the first one is about activating your Genius Heart Prosperity Gene Keys sequence. I have no idea what's going to come through, but it's going to be epic. So it's nice to start talking about this, thinking about this work for yourself, so that we can dive deeper on January 4th for that first call. Okay, Happy New Year. Happy 2020. Mwah.